And so to cloud. Now, we all have our own preconceptions as to what the cloud actually is. But a few things that I'm going to go through now should make you realize that firstly, cloud isn't actually what you thought it was, and that there is a lot more complexity and sophistication to this technology than at first meets the eye. The first thing is to not think of cloud as one technology, but more as a group of technologies that are oriented around this idea of virtualization. Now, in IT, this word virtualization is really important, but it's more important to understand that it has two distinct meanings. So there are two definitions of virtualization. The first one is when the IT department says something like, here is a server and we have virtualized it into two separate servers. Now, what they're saying here is that they've taken a piece of hardware and they've virtualized it in the sense of creating two separate servers within that hardware, so that the hardware appears to be two separate servers, but actually they're physically in the same location, they're on one piece of kit, but to you and I as a user, the servers appear to be two different distinct servers. So that's the first definition of virtualization, is when you split a piece of hardware into separate operating systems or separate platforms so that it comes across as two different machines. But it's the second one that we're interested in. The idea that we can virtualize an entire IT department as well. The idea that what used to reside on site on your own premises can now be transferred across to an off-site or off-premise facility. That's also known as virtualization. So when your company says that we've decided to virtualize our IT department, it means that they have handed over that function to a third party on a different site somewhere. That entire department used to be on site and was the complete and total responsibility of the company itself. But now we've decided to hand this over to a third party to look after somewhere else, possibly and most probably in another country. Now that all sounds really technically highbrow and very business oriented. But the truth is that the majority of the people around the world already use virtualized technologies within elements of their own personal IT. And they're using cloud technology already. So are you. If you're using Gmail, for example, or Office 365, if your iPhone uploads photos to your iCloud, well, all of these are examples of cloud-based technologies in operation. The problem is the cloud has been used as this vague catch-all term which is seen as a very corporate, very enterprise term. But really, in simplistic terms, if you're accessing IT services over the internet, say your storage or your application, and that storage or application is somewhere else other than your own hardware, well, you're pretty much into cloud technology. Now, here is where we digress from most people's normal definition of the term cloud. When you ask most people what cloud actually means, the oft-cited response is usually something to do with storage. Storing your data somewhere else, in other words. But from what I've just mentioned, it actually isn't just about data being somewhere else. It can be any technology somewhere else. So any technology that is accessed via the internet from somewhere else is pretty much cloud. Cloud computing essentially gives you on-demand computing resources wherever you are, and you're using the internet as the delivery medium. Yes, it could be your own photos stored somewhere else, but it could also be that you're utilizing someone else's high-end processing in their servers. For example, to render an animation that you've made. Or it could be equally that you're using a CRM application. Now that doesn't reside on your PC. Something like Salesforce, for example, resides on the cloud. Anything which you can access remotely in this way in a technological sense, well, that's referred to as cloud technology.